Hello everyone. Now you will hear a brief retelling of the film Luna 2112. Enjoy watching. In the future, humanity is faced with an energy crisis. So a technology has been developed that allows you to extract energy on the surface of the moon. To ensure the production of the alternative fuel, mines have been erected on the backside of the satellite, and only one person is enough to maintain their operation. Such is our hero Sam Bell, who signed a contract for 3 years. By the end of this period, he was already fairly overgrown and sad. His only companion and assistant is a robot named Jerty. All the employee thinks about is how much he wants to go home already. There are pictures of his wife and daughter all over the place. He sent another batch of helium-3 isotope to Earth. Sam has only 2 weeks left to work at the station, but is nervous about a broken satellite, which is why he is not able to communicate directly with Earth. He only gets occasional messages from his superiors and his wife Tess. It is the thought of meeting your beloved soon that does not let a lonely man from going crazy. More than his wife, he is glad to see his only daughter. Also, in order to not go crazy, Sam has mastered the hobby of carving a miniature model of his hometown out of wood. One day, he suffers from a hallucination of a girl, and because of this, he burns his hand with boiling water. After sleeping, he wakes up in a cold sweat, and during standard workouts he runs out of breath and coughs. He begins to suffer from headaches. One of the harvesters producing the helium isotope failed and Sam went to check on it on a lunar rover. Another hallucination occurs and leads to a serious accident. Sam wakes up in the base infirmary. He doesn't remember much, and the robot tells him that he needs some time to heal. His eyes hurt from the light and his feet are not responding. He overhears the robot reporting the accident to his superiors, but Jerty tries to convince him that there is no direct link and he just sends a video recording. After a while, Sam wants to return to work. The harvesters need to be repaired, but the robot has been instructed not to let the worker out under any circumstances. Sam doesn't like it and sets up a diversion. He deceives the robot and tries to persuade him to release him in order to supposedly check the integrity of the station's body. He succeeds in the trick, and the robot lets him out. He immediately jumps into the lunar rover and goes to the accident site. Inside the wrecked lunar rover, he discovers an unconscious body in a space suit. This is his doppelganger. The stranger looks exactly like him. The body was taken to the station and placed in isolation. The doppelganger comes to his senses and a bandage is visible on his hand after a burn. He thinks the man in the ward is another hallucination. The next time he wakes up, he sees the doppelganger again. He asks Jerty what is going on here and who is this guy. The robot avoids answering and offers the poor guy something to eat and something to sleep on. One day, the battered Sam decides to make contact with Sam Fresher. Sam number 2 says he's only been at the station for 1 week. They argue about slippers and call each other clones. Later, the former thanks the latter for saving him, but now they both have a partner to play ping pong with. The newcomer loses by a crushing score. During their conversation, both remember their wife, and the pale Sam, unlike the new Sam, also has a little daughter. A message comes from the management on Earth, in which the employee is notified that a rescue team will arrive in 14 hours. Old Sam is glad that he will return to his wife very soon. The new Sam suggests that in addition to them, there may be more clones at the station, since it turned out that the model of the city was partially made even before the arrival of its shabby neighbor on the moon, and decides to look for a secret room where doubles can hide. He also concludes that it is much more profitable to keep people like them at the station than to train new employees every time. Every nook and cranny is explored, every panel opened, but all to no avail. The only place left to inspect was the place where the layout was placed, but a fight broke out between the doppelgangers over it. After the brawl, old Sam's face was covered in blood, although he did not seem to receive much harm. He complains to Jerty about the explosive nature of his neighbor, but now he understands why Tess left him in the first place. The robot reminds him of how he ended up at the station, saying there was an accident and Sam woke up in the isolation ward. Afterwards, however, Gertie confesses how things really are. He was not brought in, but brought back to life. Tests were conducted for mental stability and general physical condition, standard procedure for clones. The memories of his wife and daughter are formed by memory implants in his head. These are the memories of the real Sam Bell. The same procedure was carried out with the second clone when the program thought that the previous one had died in an accident. During the next attempt to talk and find out what's going on, new Sam insists that the inability to get a live feed from Earth is a lie, so they need to find a way to contact someone on the planet. On moon rovers, both Sams drive away from the base. Soon they find the jamming generators that have been jamming the signal. Old Sam gets sick and vomits blood and then returns back to the base. There he gets totally sick and vomits blood down the toilet again. Along with that, his tooth falls out. Access to his file on the computer is blocked, but Gertie comes to the rescue. In the video file, he sees another decrepit Sam Bell whose hair is falling out. At the end of his contract, he lies down in a capsule that is supposed to take him to Earth. The same thing happens to other versions of Sam. This cycle repeats every 3 years. That's how long the clone lives, and then they are simply incinerated. The man decides to check how the cryogenic capsule works. In the same room, he finds a secret passage. One by one, the Sams go down the stairs and see a huge room filled with cells. In each of them lies another new Sam Bell, in a state of anabiosis. The old clone leaves the station and the jamming zone to call his home. A girl answers him, who tells him that Tess died several years ago. Before him is his daughter Eve, who has turned 15 years old. Sam wants to find out how his wife passed away, but on the other end he hears the original Sam's voice and cuts the connection. He cries and wants to go home. The old Sam is getting worse by the minute. He trembles, coughs constantly. He can't keep his feet up. The two Sams realize that the incoming rescue team will kill them both if they are found together. The newcomer puts the half-dead clone to bed and reviews the recording of his conversation. Afterwards, he asks Gertie to help him revive another clone. It could help his fellow clones save their lives. A collapsed Sam looks on in wonder at another sleeping clone. Clone number 2 shares a plan with him. He plans to take the third clone and leave it in a crashed lunar rover. The two of them will fly back to Earth. The old clone can't walk anymore. His time has come to an end. Sam refuses to fly. It is he, instead of the third clone, who will be left to die in the lunar rover. Before saying goodbye, the doppelgangers remember how they met Tess. The old clone is barely moving. Sam carries him in his arms and leaves him to live out his last hours alone. 1 hour and 40 minutes left before the squad arrives. Gertie warns Sam that he is unlikely to get anything out of it, as he has been recording everything that happens on the station. But the friendly robot immediately adds that his main goal is to help the human, and he is prepared to erase all the records once Sam has departed. Gertie says goodbye to Sam and he resets him. The squad is already preparing to land, and Sam settles into the rocket that normally brings the helium isotope to Earth. At the very last moment, he runs up to the control panel and programs Harvester to destroy the signal jammers. Immediately after that, the station is able to communicate directly. Sam flies out just as the brigade enters the station and the new clone arrives. The old Sam watches for a bright dot in the sky. Their plan succeeds. We learn that Sam has successfully made it to Earth and is testifying against the corporation.